Hi everyone, this is Mike Brown of Urban Innovators. I'm going to show you how to use the Dixie Travel Demand model. It's a Cube-Voyager travel model, and I haven't done a whole lot with this yet other than to prove that it works, so I'm just recording what I'm doing so that you can follow along and try and do the same thing. I think you'll learn this much better if you just do what I do. So the first thing I did was I loaded the model to this location, C Data Model Tools Dixie version 3. You don't need, it doesn't matter where you put it, just call it Dixie version 3 wherever you want to put it, somewhere on your C drive. When you get there, you should be able to see this thing called a catalog file.cat. You just double click that and it should start opening in the Bentley Cube connection Cube software. Okay, mine is opened up. One of the first things that happens is it'll say that it can't find all of the files and asks, or rather it'll just say that the directory has changed from the last time it saw it. So just say OK and it should update to all the new directories, and then you should be able to get to this part. All right, once you're in this part, this is the hierarchy of the tree model, or the tree that you can see. It's got a flow chart of everything: input processing, life cycle, household, disaggregate and auto ownership, trip generation, distribution, mode choice, and assignment. Those are the traditional 4 steps. Within each one of these you can double click on this yellow input processing, and it takes you down into what that is. So within this, it shows a bunch of additional steps. It says first it's going to check the master network to see that it exists and make sure that it works. Then it's going to process that and do a few other things. So you can go into each one of these steps to see what is there. You can right click to go back. It says go to parent. So you go back up. This is how you go down the tree and back up the tree. So if you want to see trip generation, you go in here. There's no more yellow boxes, so there's no deeper that you can go. This is as deep as you can go in trip generation. So you go back to parent, and that's how this works. So when you go down in here, if you want to see the code that drives this, you double click down in there, and then it has script file. So if you double click on script file, it should open it up in a text-based processor to where you can see the code that defines what is happening right here. So this is where you would come to modify the code that runs the model. Assuming you know how to do that, and that's a whole other task that we will not learn in this class, is how to do that. But this is where the code is located in these .s files that are scripts. I'm going to go back to parent again, and okay, I'm going to hit pause for a second while I think. Alright, one of the first things we want to do is look at the master network that defines the roadways in the St. George area. So if you go here to Dixie Master Network, we just double click on that. I thought I double clicked on that. Double click. There we go. Okay, it says it cannot find this shapefile. Do you want to find it? Yes, I do want to find that one. TAZ shapefile. So in here is the inputs to the travel model. It defaults into this highway, but there's also other ones. TAZ is the place we're going to go for this one. We're going to open that up. Alright, so now it's opened up the entire Washington County area, and those are the zones are in green, and all of the links are in the other colors. So let's go see what kind of stuff's going on in here. Okay, so to maneuver, what you want to do is go to, you can zoom in and out with the wheel or with the zoom tool. Here's the zoom tools. And you can also pan. Pan is a pretty good option. And alright, so this is what's going on here. So now I want to change the zones. They're all listed in, they're all shown in green right now, but I want to see them as colors. So what I'm going to do is go to this button, layer control, and go to this boundary TAZ shapefile. Double click on that, and then this shows the options for seeing these things. What I want to do is I want to fill with color, just a random color, and then with the link I also want to change that, and I'm going to hit append, and really I just want 0. What this is doing is taking the green outline and getting rid of it. So I'm hitting close and all done. Let's see what happened. Alright, so now you can see all of the different zones without a boundary edge, which kind of is helpful because the boundary edges often conflict with the roads, so the green lines would have conflicted with these blue lines. And so now I can see the zones. And the little red dots represent zone centroids, and you can change those right now. You go to color, you're right here on the home tab, and you go to node. This is the node section, and you're going to go to color. Shows a bunch of different options, 16 different ways you can color nodes. So it's currently on number 1, so I'm going to click on that, and this says if the node number is less than 910, then I'm going to color it red. If it's one of these numbers, which I don't really know what that means, then it's going to make these bigger, and they'll be blue, so we can see some of those. And I don't know why these are all zone numbers, but I'm not sure why they're special. But anyway, you can control the size. So let's control the size here. I'll make them 6 for just because. Now you can see that the zones got really big, and I'll go back, and I don't want them actually very big, so I'm going to go back to just 3, and there you go. So now all of these black dots are just nodes that define a link. If I want to look at a link, and I do, then I'm going to hit this pointer button and click on this link. So that brings up the attribute window that shows all of the different attributes that exist for this link. So as you're going down through it, the name of the street, how long it is in miles, whether it's a one-way street or a two-way, and then it has lanes as they existed in 2015, 2019, 2028, 32, 42, and 50. So these are the phases probably of that match with the NPO's long-range plan. And here's some more. The U on the end probably means unfunded, like they think they need it but they don't know how to pay for it. And this is and then the TL means turning lane, whether there's a turning lane or not. And the FT means the functional type of the road, and I can show you what that is later, but this is a functional type 2, which means it's a principal arterial, and I'll show you later where that exists. But for right now, let's just look at the lanes. We're going to try to color the lanes. So over here, we're going to look at color. There's no predefined color, so we're going to do a predefined color, or we're going to create a color. And to do that, I can either append or insert a line. And then, so here's the default, red, and then I go over here and I right click to say I want to color the lanes as they existed in 2019, and I want to see if the lanes were equal to 1. If there was just one lane each direction is what this means, and if that's true, then I want it to be black, or one thick, and I'm going to make it black. So you click this, change that, turn it to black. There you go. Close. Okay, so now all of the roads that are one lane are black. So now I'm going to go back to here, click on this again. I'm going to hit append, and I'm going to make these two, and I can come over here and Control C to copy, Control V to paste it, and I'm going to say I want to see all of these that are 2-lane. I want them to be blue, let's say blue, and bigger, so I want them to be like size 3, and I'm going to give the name of this a group name. I'm just going to call it Lane 2019. Close. Alright, so now you can see all of the roads that have where there's at least where there are 2 lanes each direction. And let's close this for a minute. Zoom out so you can see what it looks like in St. George. Alright, so there's some things that are a little bit strange. There's colors that I haven't defined yet for thicknesses. And let's look at this I-15. Get my panning tool, come over here, and I go back to the arrow tool, and I say, how come this didn't turn dark blue? I thought it would. Oh, and it's because in 2019 it has 3 lanes, so I need to define a 3-lane color. And okay, so I'm going to append, and I'll say I want, if it has 3 lanes, then I'm going to say lane 3, and it's going to be red like that, and then I want to just cover everything else and say, what if for some crazy reason there is something that is bigger than that, let's say greater than 3. If it's greater than 3, I want it to be some obnoxious color, and I want it to be really big, so let's make it 7, so I will definitely see it. Okay, so now we see what happened over here. So now I-15 turned red in this section. That's good, that's what I wanted. But all of this obnoxious stuff turned pink. Why did it do that? I click on one to see why did it do that, and it says 7 lane roads. What's up with that? Well, they all connect to the red dots, so what it means is it's a centroid connector, and everybody does things like this to because they don't want it to have any congestion, since it's a centroid connector, so they just make it really big, and a 7 is a pretty good clue. So one of the things we can do now is say, well, I don't want to see the centroid connectors like that, so I'm going to go here and append, and I'm going to say I want to see, whoops, Control C, Control V. If it is equal to 7, because all centroid connectors are equal to 7, then I really want it to be just a dotted line that is gray, and it can be small, and there you go. Alright, so now this shows like driveways that come from the zones onto the network, and then you can see all this other stuff. So now there's something a little bit strange here in that I-15 turned dark pink. Why did it do that? So it's lane equal to 3. I thought that I didn't do that like that. I'm going to go here. Oh, whoops, right here I have equal to 3 when I meant greater than 3. So, close. Okay, so now it went back to red. And okay, so now if I look at the region, it looks pretty good. I'm trying to scan for things that are strange. One thing that you can do here is if there's too many layers that are bothering your eyes, you can go here, not there, but this little button right here is the layer control button. And you can say, for right now, I don't want to see the TAZ shapefile. Close. Okay. Alright, one thing that may not be happening on your computer right now is your links might look a lot different than mine. A lot of straight links. Hang on. I just realized that your network might look like this, where every line is a perfectly straight line between one node and the next node. If it does look like that, then it's not showing a true shape display, and that's bothersome. It doesn't really matter that much, but it is a bother. So let's see if we can fix it. So what you do for true shape display is you have to first open up a GIS file that actually has the correct shapes. So to do this, you go to Polyline, and you're going to double click on that and browse, and you're going to look for a place. So you're in Dixie 3 highway inputs, and then there's this GIS folder. Go in there, links.shape. So if we're all done now, so you can see now that I've got light blue. It shows the actual shape of each road versus the point-to-point straight line for each road. Now to match these, you go to GIS tools over here, and you want to do true shape display, which will only come on if you actually have opened up that GIS file. And so all of this stuff should just be by default set up, and hit on or go, and it says it found 6,300 out of 6,400 true shape links. Okay, and now everything is pretty good, except for there's a couple of cases where it didn't do that. I don't know what's going on, but you can still see a little bit of light blue. And so I'm not going to worry about that. Now what? Oh, I want to go over here and turn off the layer. Now the layer is still available. I just am turning it off so I don't see it. And there you go. So now you have the shapes correct. So now I'm going to go back to the place I was before and go to Home tab, Color. I'm going back to this color that I defined earlier. There you go. So now, are there any other colors that are a little unusual or don't seem to work? Okay, so I have a bunch of things that are not quite working. These look like zone centroid connectors, and they are, because 121 is in the zone range. Anything less than 900 and something is a centroid, and it even says centroid. So why is it not a dotted line? Because in 2019 it's a zero lane. So there's got to be some other way to identify it as, and it is a functional type 1 is a centroid. So I'm going to go over here and say I want it to be a dotted line if it's a 7 in 2019, but also if is these two straight lines like that, and is like that, but or is the two straight lines, or if it is a functional type And let's just, how about in 2050, we want to say it's a functional type equal to 1. And let's see if we get some more of those. And I did. And now the next thing I want to do is create some obnoxious color to make sure that I get everything. So I'm going to go up here, click in this one, I'm going to do an insert. That steps in a line here. It says, first I want to have, let's choose some really weird color. How about orange? And I'm going to make it big, like 7. And with no criteria. Just any link at all will be this big, and then we only change it if it meets this or this or this or this. And so that means that if a link passes all the way through and doesn't meet any of these things, then it'll be 7 like that, and we'll be able to find out why is it like that. Okay, so here are a bunch of links now that turned out to be like that. And I want to go, what is up with that? And okay, so it's a functional type 14, which is an actual highway. It doesn't exist in 2019, but it does exist later. So what I want to do now is I want to say, well, I want to, instead of being orange and awkward like that, I just want to say that if this lanes is equal to 0 in 2019, then I want it to be, let's say, pink and dotted line. How about like that? And this just means that it's a future road. Doesn't exist yet. And then maybe I'll make it a 2. And 2 doesn't really, I don't think you can do a dotted line with a 2. I think you only can do a 1 dotted line, so let's see what happens. Okay. So there you go. So now I have, and I'm going to make my centroids actually yellow because I want to make sure they're different. So over here, click on this. I think it's this one. Yellow. No, that's like a really big dotted line. Maybe this is the little dotted line. Yeah. Okay, so now those are yellow, but yeah, that's pretty ugly. I'm going to keep going until I get a good color. Alright, so I ended up turning them green because I just wanted to see them different from my new roads, the actual roads. And then let's see if there is anything else that didn't... It looks like I caught everything pretty much. Alright, I'm going to stop this right here and maybe start another one just to see if I can get it to be more like the way you guys probably have it.